Hi. Well, it's been a while again, but well, here's another VR sculpting project that I've created in Kodon with the final model cleanup and so on in Blender and texturing in Substance Painter, and a little different type of project again. I this time I created a model with the specific purpose of 3D printing a mini for D&D. So this little guy is called a Hollyphant, and they come from the book Descent into Avernus. And I actually think this is the first time that I've worked from someone else's design instead of my own concepts. You can see the reference images that I've loaded up here in Kodon from the book, and yeah, I just put Hollyphant in Google and saw what came up. So yeah, it's really interesting to try and capture the spirit of this little creature without actually being the one who designed it in the first place. So the idea behind making this sculpt came a couple of months ago. I just played D&D with a couple of friends, and the DM from the session asked if I was interested in sculpting, yeah, the Hollyphant specifically. She's kind of a D&D mini nut, so she's always printing. She has this resin printer, so she's always printing her own minis and painting them and so on. So yeah, that's how I got started on this. You can see that I started with the eyes, something that the more projects I've been making over oh boy, I've been doing this for over a year now, I think. Well, yeah, anyway, and the eyes are usually a very good place to start. If you place them correctly from the beginning, everything else sort of clicks around that. So I found it a very useful starting point. Specifically when I made the last sculpt, the piranha and the giant floating eyeball, of course, it's very much true there, but it also turns out to work really well for these creatures that actually have more than one eye. From there, I just kind of work around the eyes, creating the eye sockets and the trunk, and you see here, I ended up with a type of something that almost looks like a mask. And this is also something that I've noticed over the last year, that I tend to create this wireframe almost of the outside, a shell of sorts. That's easy to tweak and change the shape of and so on before I move on to starting to filling it out. And it's so much fun to I've created the models for 3D printing before. I've made sort of chassis and components and parts that I've used for making little robots and more technical stuff. And this is the first time that I'm actually sculpting something for 3D printing. And yeah, it's kind of a different flow when you're creating something that's the only purpose is to, well, hopefully look good once it's printed. You don't really need to focus so much on, well, every millimeter, everything clicking together and so on, the way you have to do when you're making things that actually need to house electronic components and so on. And well, of course, when I've been creating that kind of things, I've made them in Blender or in SolidWorks or some other CAD application. So yeah, this is this is a lot of fun. And you can see here that at this point I'm pretty happy with how the head turned out, so I've moved on to creating the larger shapes, the rest of the body, with the arms, the legs, and yeah, the fingers, and I assume the toes will crop up soon enough. And yeah, I'm also throwing in some mid-level details here and there, some folds and so on. Still pretty big stuff. The final small detail pass. Yeah, look, there's there's the toes. The small detail stuff, as usual, comes somewhere near the end. And here I'm starting on the tail. And at first I was a little worried about, well, these D&D minis are really small, so I was a little concerned about the details being lost, or if you make things too thin and so on, that can lead to problems. But in the past I've only really been using extrusion printers, so as far as I understand, the resin printers can handle a lot more, so I decided to just go for it and see how the model comes out later on. I don't think I've ever mentioned Dungeons and Dragons before in any of my videos, and well, I've been a DM for almost 5 years now, and last couple of years I've also started playing as a player, and it's so much fun. It's one of my absolute favorite hobbies, and I'm always looking forward to the next session, even both as a player and as a DM. It really is one of the most fun things you can do. Sit down with a bunch of friends, and usually I gather up a group of people, cook some food, and we spend way too long doing this sort of. I mean, it's always kind of hard to describe D&D to someone who's not into it themselves. I mean, these days, I think most people have at least heard about it, but trying to explain, for example, to my parents, that's turned out to be a bit tricky. But yeah, I essentially end up just saying that it's a sort of collaborative, improvised, I don't know, theater almost, where the dice decide the direction where the story goes, the story that you're creating together. And well, of course, I'm all of my campaigns that I've been running myself as the DM, I've created myself. They're sort of custom modules where I've designed the world and a lot of the creatures and all the characters and so on that the players interact with. And it's as a I've been working as a concept artist, as a 3D artist, as an artist in general. I've made games and graphic novels and all sort of things the last, 17 years now? Oh my god. Yeah, well, as someone who's really into making that sort of stuff, it's so much fun to create a world that you have your friends, people you love and care about, experience and sort of interact with and add onto. And yeah, I mean, once I got started talking about D&D, not that I need much of an excuse, but I could go on for hours. Well, anyway, returning to the sculpt, you can see here that I've started adding some of the fine details, the sort of silhouettes, vague shapes of feathers on the wings and so on. And yeah, you can also see that I'm always working with more than one volume. I have one for, well, the first one is usually the eyes, the second one is the body, the third one is usually things like teeth, nails, claws, toe, yeah, that sort of a bit finer details. You see here how I'm filling in all the nails, and working with several volumes really helps getting everything right. You can keep it separated and you don't have to worry about things sort of blending together or melting together and so on. And once you have these secondary volumes in place, you can go back to the first one, and you see here how I'm modifying the lip to make more sense around how the tusks come out of the mouth. And with that in place, I'm pretty much on the home stretch now. I'm moving on to the last volume, the hair, the sort of the details that come out of the head and the ears, the little tufts on the ears, and there's a bit on the arms, and of course the tip of the tail and so on. All right, so here we are in Blender. I've taken all of the different volumes, exported them separately and taken them into Blender, done a bit of remeshing and so on, and also created this base. This is supposed to be a flying creature, so yeah, now all we have to do is wait for the 3D print. And here we are. I'm so excited. It came out so much better than I expected. Just look at how tiny it is and how fine the details are on everything. It's, oh my god. It ended up taking a couple of weeks. My friend had to get the transparent resin for the base, but yeah, it was really worth the wait. Just look at the tail, it's so small. Oh my god. Yeah, this has been so much fun. I'm definitely gonna make man, look at the trunk. Yeah, I'm absolutely going to make more of these. It's so much fun to actually have this little thing in your hands to bring something from your VR sculpts into reality. Yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and yeah, hopefully it won't be another 6 months for the next video. I really love making these, and I'm gonna try to do them a little more often.